Hey, it's Zach. Welcome to my backyard. Today is Brew Day. We are going to introduce you to the best hobby that you didn't know existed, brewing beer at home.
Hey, I'm Ben. I'm the owner of Spike. Today we're going to do a step-by-step walkthrough on how to brew beer at home using Zach's 20-gallon solo system.
It's Brew Day.
A solo brew day has 7 steps, and we'll walk you through each one today. You'll be a brew master in no time. Zach's solo is already set up so we can jump right in. A detailed user guide, which is on our website and emailed out with every solo purchase, walks through the simple assembly process, which takes all of 30 minutes, including a beer break. Today, we're brewing a hazy IPA. It's going to be a 10-gallon batch, which is the perfect size for 2 homebrew kegs. Zach found this recipe from the Home Brewers Association website and had his local home brew store package all the ingredients needed. There are literally thousands of pre-packaged kits you can buy online or from your local homebrew store. Once you decide on which style of beer you want to brew and purchase all the ingredients for the recipe, the rest is pretty straightforward. At its core, beer is 4 simple ingredients: water, grain, otherwise known as malt, hops, and yeast. Brewing is essentially heating up water to soak grains in. That hot soak converts starches in the grain into a sugary water solution. Once we have that sugar water, known as wort, we add our yeast. The yeast eats the sugar and creates the alcohol. The water, grains, hops, and yeast are what create all the different flavor combinations, ranging from a Hefeweizen to a stout. First things first, we need to heat up our water. Add the appropriate amount of water your recipe calls for. We've added some etched volume markers on the inside of the kettle. This should help you fill the kettle to the correct amount. Now that we have the appropriate amount of water in the kettle, we can put the grain basket in. This special basket is like the tea bag of the solo system. It allows us to easily strain the grain from the water, which we'll do about halfway into the brew day. After the basket is in the kettle, we need to connect our hoses and start the heating process. In contrast to the less precise and more dangerous propane systems on the market, the Spike Solo system is 100% electrically heated and controlled. Additionally, electric brewing is by far cheaper to operate at less than $2 per brew day, as opposed to a propane tank that can cost over $20. We offer the Solo in 2 electrical options: 120 volt, standard 3-prong household plug, and 240 volt, what your clothes dryer would use. The 240 volt will heat quicker and allow for larger batch sizes to be made, like the 10-gallon batch we're brewing today. Zach is using the 240 volt option, which he has wired both outside and in his basement for indoor brewing during the winter. Now, back to brewing. We're going to set our controller to the mash temperature called out by the recipe, which, for us, is 155 degrees. Next, we're going to mash in, which, in brewer speak, means adding our grain to the hot water. Pour the grain slowly into the basket. Have a brew buddy stir while you pour. Or, if you're brewing solo, pour a little grain in at a time and stir in between pours. Stirring is key. It makes sure all the grains come in contact with the water and that no dough balls, clumps of dry grain, form. Once the grain is in, we can start our mash timer. Most recipes call for a 60-minute mash.
All right, we got an hour to kill during the mash step. Let's go check on the ribs, grab another beer, and throw a game of bags.
Yeah, let's do it.
Now that we have created our wort, brewer speak for sugary water, we need to separate it from the grain. In order to separate the wort from the spent grain, you're going to need to lift the basket out of the kettle and hang the basket from the top of the kettle using the hooks on the back of the basket. We always recommend having 2 people lift the basket. 1, it's safer, and 2, brew day is best with friends and family. Get your helpers involved in something other than just tasting the previously made beer. The spent grain doesn't have to go to waste. You can use it for everything from baking to dog treats to compost. Boiling. This is where the wort is going to evaporate off flavors and concentrate itself. Turn the control panel from auto to manual mode. Auto mode is used during the mash step to achieve precise temperature control. Manual mode adjusts the percentage output of the element so a perfect rolling boil can be achieved. The user guide outlines the simple steps to switch between auto mode and manual mode. We've also created a quick video that walks through the steps as well. The Solo was designed to be easy to use and make for a quick brew day. Being able to start your boil step as soon as the basket is lifted and starts to drip cuts serious time off the process, which equals more time for drinking. Once the basket is done draining, after about 10 or 15 minutes, it can be removed from the lip of the kettle and set aside for cleaning later. Once your wort is boiling, the controller can be dialed back so you get a steady rolling boil. Typically 40 to 60% should do the trick. However, on the 120-volt version, it may be much higher. Set your boil timer to what is called out by your recipe. Most recipes call for a 60-minute boil. Since our recipe calls for hops at the 60-minute mark, we'll add our first addition now and check on the food.
All right, Zach, we're in the final stretch of brew day. We got people showing up. They're hungry. They're thirsty.
Ribs are almost done. Let's go get another beer.
Our hops are added, our 60-minute boil is completed, and it's time for our next step, Whirlpool. To Whirlpool, we'll run the wort into the pump and then back into the kettle at a 90-degree angle. The angle will cause the wort to spin inside of the kettle, thus why the step is called whirlpooling. If you want clear wort, this step is key. Spinning causes stuff like grain, hops, and proteins to collect at the bottom center of the kettle. That means clear wort into your fermenter, which makes for clear beer in your glass. We recommend whirlpooling for 10 to 15 minutes. Now, we chill. Not grab a beer and chill, but chill what's going to be beer. Reduce the temperature of the wort to yeast pitching temps. Brewer speak for adding yeast to your chilled wort. The proper chill temperature range will be called out by the yeast manufacturer and listed on the packaging. Are you using our counterflow chiller? Great! Not sure what a counterflow chiller is? Well, it's a specially designed device which allows hot wort to flow in one direction while cool water flows in the opposite direction. The cool water absorbs the heat from the wort and quickly cools it to the proper yeast pitching temps. The last step is moving our wort through the chiller and into our fermenter. Our fermenter is where the yeast is added. Over the next week, the yeast will eat the sugars, create alcohol, and convert our wort into beer. And who said chemistry wasn't awesome? There are many fermenter options on the market, ranging from cheap with few features to more expensive with all the bells and whistles. Sanitation is crucial during fermentation, which is why Spike only sells stainless steel fermenters. Zach made the classic mistake of buying multiple cheap fermenters before settling on the Spike Flex. Heed the saying, buy once, cry once. Always be sure to fully sanitize your fermenter before transferring your chilled wort. StarSan is a very popular no-rinse option that can be ordered online or picked up at your local homebrew store. Look at that whirlpool cone in the kettle. That's all the gunk that was collected during the whirlpool that you don't want in your beer. We'll now pitch our yeast, seal up our fermenter, and let the yeast do its thing for the next week. The recommended fermentation temperature for this yeast strain is 70 degrees, so Zach will store his fermenter in his cool basement.
Well, we got brew day done. Now all that's left is to clean up. Thankfully, the Solo is super easy to clean. Let's get that cleaned up and go eat those ribs.
While Zach, Ben, and the Brew Day squad eat, we'll walk you through the cleaning process. First, we'll want to dump the material that was collected in the hop cone. Rinse out the kettle to remove any of those pesky large particles. A sponge or brush can be helpful here. After you rinse out the kettle, fill it up about 1/4 full with hot water or cool water, which you can heat up, and then add your preferred brewery wash. Similar to the sanitizer, StarSan, brewery wash, brewer speak for cleaner, can be purchased online or at your local homebrew store. Run the pump for about 5 minutes. During this time, you can scrub the inside of the kettle. By pumping the hot brewery wash through the hoses, valves, and pumps, you're cleaning the inside components. Your kettle, pump, hoses, and chiller are now clean. To clean the basket, dump all the spent grain out. Rinse the basket to get rid of any stuck-on grain. With the basket rinsed, we can scrub it clean using brewery wash. Rinse with clean water, and you're all good to go. Your brew day is now officially complete. So go have a beer, or two. The final thing to talk about, which is pretty important, is what to do once your beer is done fermenting in about a week. The two most popular options are to bottle or keg your beer. Most people start off by bottling because it's a low-cost approach. Bottles, caps, and a capping device can all be purchased online or at your local homebrew shop. Your homebrew shop will be a great resource to show you exactly what to do and most likely offer brewing classes. The other option is kegging. Kegging your beer goes quicker, but costs more. A kegerator, kegs, CO2, and additional equipment are needed. This is usually one of the first upgrades a new brewer makes. Zach actually built his own kegerator. Brewing is hands-on, and building a kegerator can be a fun project.
So you talked about you were over at a buddy's and he was on a more complex system, and the learning curve was something that you were frankly concerned about. What about the Solo was what you were looking for in comparison to everything else that's out there?
So I think the number one thing is really just ease of use. The learning curve is next to nothing. Like I said, the first beer that I brewed, it was something that I was really proud to share with friends, and everyone after that has been the same. So the second thing is size and mobility. When the weather's nice in Wisconsin, I bring it outside, we brew outside. When it's a Wisconsin winter and the weather stinks, we take it downstairs and we brew in the basement. And the system is turnkey. I literally went on Spike's website, clicked a button, showed up a few days later, and by the weekend, I'm brewing beer. It's also a quality product. And I think that when I'm comparing my purchase for a pellet smoker, I probably did 2 months of research on that. And ultimately, one of the selling points to me was, this thing's gonna hold up. If I'm spending hard-earned money on this, I want it to be quality, and I want it to be something that I can put out a high-end product with. That was the Solo for me.
Tell us, what does Brew Day mean to you?
Honestly, Brew Day is about way more than just the beer. My daughter, she's 4 years old. She's never had a beer, but she's smart enough to know that Brew Day is about everybody coming over, hanging out, spending time together, and collectively making something together. It's like this whole ritual of lead up for Brew Day. It's 8 o'clock in the morning, we're getting everything ready. My friends are coming over, food is cooking. We got sports on, we got bags, the weather's nice. And then when it's all said and done, we're sitting around enjoying food that came off the grill today with a beer that I brewed 2 weeks ago. It's a perfect day.
Zach, I really appreciate you letting me crash your Brew Day. The ribs were amazing. The beer you made a couple weeks ago, that amber on the Solo, was awesome.
Like I said, I love being pitmaster and brewmaster. It was a lot of fun. Come anytime.
To everyone out there, thanks for watching the full video of our walkthrough of the Solo Brew Day. Hope we opened your eyes on a hobby you might not have even known existed, brewing beer at home. If you want to learn more about the Solo, check out our website or our YouTube channel. We got a ton of information on there. We also have a super knowledgeable customer support team that's more than willing to answer any questions you may have.